I am so excited to be at this anniversary party with you. I'm delighted to see you here. Oh, and happy Together Tuesday. Now, we picked this date quite a long time ago, but in the intervening months, we learned that our friends at Giving Tuesday have designated this day, the exact midway point through the year, as Together Tuesday, a day built for generosity. Well, we are all about generosity at Impact 100, aren't we? So the timing seems to be perfect. Today feels a little bit like a family reunion. Some of you were there almost from the beginning. Others joined somewhere along the way, and many of you are helping to write the very next chapter in our combined story. Can you believe it's been 25 years? 25 years since a simple idea became a movement. 25 years of women coming together to strengthen their communities. 25 years of nonprofits dreaming a little bigger because women believed in them. But before we get started, I would like for you to meet two very special women. Today, Impact 100 Global is a small but mighty team of three. Every day, we have the privilege of serving this remarkable movement by helping launch new chapters and lifting existing chapters to their highest potential. Lori Sheehan serves as our Impact Expansion Specialist. If you've reached out to Global looking for guidance, there's a good chance you and Lori have already met. And Haley Carney is our Impact Initiative Specialist. She is the voice in the room, always looking for better ways to serve our members and leaders. She takes point on technology and oversees much of our communication. And for the record, this technology was not of Haley's doing. Our glitch today was not of Haley's doing. But she and Lori together troubleshooted it because I am the wrong person to help with tech. The three of us have the joy of working together every single day. But the real work of this movement happens because thousands of volunteers like you are serving in chapters around the world, and we are truly honored to support you. Now, let's take a little trip back in time. Although 2001 feels like yesterday, it also feels like another lifetime completely. Things were different then. We didn't spread the word via social media when we were launching Impact 100 because it didn't really exist. We didn't have Facebook or YouTube or even an iPhone. Most of us still carried flip phones if we had a cell phone at all. We did have email, however, and mine was a dial-up through AOL. When recruiting members and spreading the word, we reached for a big, heavy phone book to find the street addresses or their landline phone number. It was even harder for nonprofits to apply for our grants back then. Rather than just clicking submit after uploading some documents, nonprofits compiled and photocopied their entire application along with all the attachments. Each application included a series of binders and folders packed with information we requested. Then each application made its way from one committee's member's house to another's so that everyone could read every page before coming together to discuss the merits of an application. Thank goodness so much has changed. But here's what hasn't changed. Every community still has children who need a champion, families who need a helping hand, patients who need healing, students who need opportunity, artists who remind us who we are, and parks, rivers, and open spaces that deserve protection. The work of building healthy, thriving communities is not finished. In fact, in many ways, the challenges have become even more complex. And something else hasn't changed. Women are still looking for a meaningful way to make a difference. They want to understand the needs in their community. They want to give with confidence and know that their contribution made a real difference in someone's lives. And perhaps most importantly, they want to belong to something bigger than themselves. That's exactly what the Impact 100 model was designed to do. It was about replacing uncertainty with confidence, leaving isolation behind to joining community, replacing or augmenting small disconnected acts of generosity with a transformational collective impact. Many things have changed, but the human desire to belong, contribute, and leave the world better than we found it hasn't changed at all, and I don't believe it ever will. Now, many of you have asked about how the movement began, so I'll take a few minutes and fill you in. I was new to Cincinnati, and I was very eager to get to know my new community. I did that by getting to know the organizations, the nonprofit organizations serving it. I was amazed by the extraordinary work they were doing and excited to invite my women friends to join me. But those conversations didn't go quite the way I expected. Instead, every time I talked with a woman about volunteering or charitable giving, I heard why she couldn't become involved. Some didn't have the time to volunteer in a traditional role. Others didn't think they knew enough to make a good funding decision. Many believed their individual contribution wouldn't really make much of a difference. And perhaps the comment I heard most often was this: when I give to charities, I never really know what happened to my gift. Now, at the exact same time, I was seeing another challenge. The nonprofit organizations in Cincinnati were doing extraordinary work, but they were spending enormous amounts of time pursuing small grants and fundraising just to keep the doors open. They needed transformational funding, not just incremental support. So I began filling a spiral notebook with everything I was learning. As the pages filled, I stopped thinking about barriers and started thinking about solutions. What if we could design a model that solved both of those challenges? What if women had a meaningful pathway into philanthropy while nonprofits received the kind of funding that could truly transform what was possible? What if women learned together? What if every member had an equal voice? And what if every woman could actually see the impact of her generosity? Little by little, the Impact 100 model came together. One woman, one donation, one vote. Simple enough for anyone to understand, powerful enough to change a community. In the fall of 2002, 123 women came together to award our very first Impact 100 grant. Together, we invested $123,000 in the McMicken Dental Clinic to purchase 5 new dental chairs. 5 dental chairs. Those chairs expanded the clinic's capacity to care for children and families who otherwise had limited access to dental care. That first grant demonstrated what was possible when women came together with a shared purpose. We give our grants through 2 lenses. Will our grant be transformational, and will it be sustainable? This grant certainly scored well on both counts. The model was working. Nonprofits received transformational funding. Women discovered that they didn't have to be experts. They simply had to be willing to learn together. Communities benefited from both. The grants transformed nonprofit organizations. The journey transformed the women. And together, we have transformed communities. One thing I've learned over the past 25 years is this. This model is beautifully simple, but executing it well takes extraordinary volunteer leadership. Every successful chapter is built by passionate leaders working diligently to invite members, encourage nonprofits to apply, and quietly do the work that allows their chapter to thrive. The model was designed in the summer of 2001, but the model is only an idea until people bring it to life. For 25 years, you've done exactly that. Thank you for believing in this work, and thank you for helping thousands of women discover that one woman, one donation, and one vote can really change a community.
Next up, let's take a minute to look back through time together. We've put together a timeline that celebrates the incredible growth of Impact 100, and before we dive in, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Stella Lappin for helping put it all together for us. The timeline will go year by year, chapter by chapter. You'll see photos from those early days when each chapter gave its very first grant. Each chapter will appear in the year they awarded their first grant. You'll see the movement of their impact begin, the moment their impact began. Every image tells a story of people coming together, believing in what's possible, and then making it happen. Let's see how those sparks turned into a global movement.
In 2001, we filed for our nonprofit status and began collecting membership checks. Impact 100 Cincinnati gave away its very first grant, and with it, the ideal became real. Everything changed, however, in January of 2003, when People magazine published an article about Impact 100 and about me. Suddenly, the story reached far beyond Cincinnati. It was life-changing, and I never, ever saw it coming. I thought I was building something for just Cincinnati, but almost overnight, the phone started ringing, emails poured in, and the first chapters reached out after reading the article. They were soon to become Impact Austin and Impact 100 Pensacola Bay Area, two communities of women who saw the story and said, "We can do that here." And they did. That was the power of the press and word of mouth in action. Proof that one story can ignite a movement. Oh my goodness. You are about to hear from Stephanie Kaplan. Now, Stephanie was a founding board member of Impact 100 Cincinnati. She was there from the very beginning and a vital part of the team that dreamed big and believed that this model could work. Let's hear from Stephanie as she shares her memories of that first grant and what it meant to be a part of the story from the very beginning.
Happy 25th anniversary, Impact 100. When I think back to one of my most special memories, I think about the first grant that was awarded to Cincy Smiles Foundation and Dr. Judith Allen. As a dentist myself, I know the implications of the lack of access to dental care. We all knew in that moment when Cincy Smiles Foundation was awarded the first grant that this was transformational and we were changing lives. We were impacting individuals, communities, generations, and organizations. I'm so grateful to Wendy Steele for her visionary idea and asking me, along with incredibly bright women, to bring this visionary idea to life. So cheers and congratulations on 25 amazing years.
I can still remember the very first moment that I learned about Impact 100. It was more than 20 years ago. I was in Atlanta at work when I got a phone call from my mom in my hometown of Pensacola, Florida. I can still remember hearing the excitement in her voice when she told me about this amazing new organization, Impact 100, that she was helping with. She explained the model, which I immediately thought was brilliant. But what I remember most was what she said next. She said, Laurie, it's so amazing, but not just for the nonprofits, for the women. She said there were so many women who had never volunteered before, had never really meaningfully been involved with philanthropy, but they were coming out of the woodwork to join Impact 100 and to give together. I think that even then, she knew that Impact 100 would be different, something that could potentially change our hometown for forever. And I think it really did. Impact 100 Pensacola Bay Area has been and continues to be our largest chapter in the world, with over 1,300 members this year. And for over 10 years, they've consistently had over 1,000 members every year, which means every year the women in that community award over $1 million to local nonprofits on a single Sunday afternoon. So now I couldn't be prouder to introduce the woman who started it all in Pensacola. It is my joy and honor to welcome founding president and my hometown hero, Debbie Ritchie.
Hi, what a pleasure to be with you today. I'm actually recording this video in the downstairs area of my oldest daughter's house. I'm here celebrating the birth of my second grandchild and trying to help out a little bit. So it's fun to get to sneak away and stop and reflect and remember kind of some of the original things about Impact 100 Pensacola Bay Area 20 plus years ago that worked then and are still working so well today. I had the opportunity, really, I consider it the privilege of getting lost in a People magazine article and coming across the story of Wendy and the Cincinnati women who had started that organization, and later following up to understand the model and how it worked. And here's some of the things that worked then and are just as powerful today. You know, this idea that we could all pool our resources to give a high impact grant in the community of $100,000 or more, that we could challenge nonprofits to think big. That really spoke to our community and the women who joined in our first years, and it's speaking to women today. This idea that women would come together from various phases of their life and find a way to really contribute and give back. Some have more time, and that's the phase of life they're in. Some have less time because they're trying to balance a lot of competing demands. I know that really spoke to me so many years ago, and it still speaks to me and so many women today. I think this idea of effective philanthropy, how do we really know and serve our community? And the idea that we're challenging nonprofits to submit grants to us, we're going out, visiting those organizations, asking questions, helping them to create stronger boards, stronger organizations, and we're supporting that effort. And we, as Impact 100, are doing it from an all-volunteer basis. Every dollar of the $1,000 going back to the community from those who donated the dollars. All of those things, those sort of core values for the first phase of Impact 100 in Pensacola spoke to many women then, and it's still speaking to women today. I think if I had to narrow down one story, and gosh, that is so difficult to do because there have been so many great stories over the years, but I'm going to go back to our first year. And we had our 5 finalists, and they each presented, and we were only going to fund 2 grants that first year. And candidly, my number one pick as the founding president did not get selected by the members that year. And you know what? That was okay because they were all great and they were all doing wonderful work. But the one that I really loved didn't receive the number of votes to get selected that first year. I will never forget, and it's just as powerful for me today to think about the phone call that I received from the gentleman who presented at our first meeting. And he said, you know, Debbie, my wife didn't choose to join Impact this first year, and she had her reasons for that. But I need to tell you what's happened since your finalist presentation and us not being selected. You know, we started getting phone calls and we started receiving checks. And he shared that they had, at that point, just weeks later, received more donation than they would have received from our grant since they had not been selected as a recipient. And he said, you know, you use the word impact and what an impact this has been. And for us, we started thinking about the impact of impact and how it can really spread and become something that's so much bigger than just that moment. So I hope that you all will continue your good work. You'll continue to think about your core values. You'll remember the little stories, and there'll be many of those, and you'll remember the big stories as well. What a real privilege to be a part of this whole groundswell of changing communities, one woman at a time, one nonprofit at a time. And thank you for the privilege of speaking to you today.
Now, looking at our timeline from 2005 to 2012, the Impact 100 story continued to unfold in remarkable ways. In 2005, we reached our first major milestone, $1 million of cumulative giving. That same year, we gathered for the first Impact 100 conference. I hosted it in Chicago, even though we didn't have a chapter there yet because it was centrally located. In Cincinnati, Pensacola, and Austin, we all came together to share ideas and challenges and dreams for the future. It was the first time we saw the power of connection across chapters like this, and we knew we wanted more. By 2006, we had collectively awarded more than $1 million in a single year. So the ripple effect was spreading and chapters were forming, more women were joining, and more nonprofits were being transformed by these gifts. Fast forward to 2010, in less than 10 years, we had surpassed $10 million in cumulative giving, reflecting not only generosity, but persistence of women who continue to rejoin. By 2012, the movement began to cross borders with the first step toward an international expansion. These years were filled with growth, connection, and discovery, a time when Impact 100 idea proved it really could thrive anywhere where people were ready to lead with purpose and generosity. Oh gosh, I'm so delighted to let you hear from my dear friend James Boyd. Now, he is the co-founder of Impact 100 WA in Western Australia. He's actually out of Perth, and he is a true trailblazer in Australian philanthropy. He brought the Impact 100 concept to Australia and has supported the development of Impact 100 groups around the country ever since. You'll hear how James first heard about Impact 100 and where his story began. Also, why it led him to bring the model home to Australia, where it continues to grow and inspire and thrive new chapters today. So listen with me as James tells us his story.
Well, success breeds success. I can't believe it's been 15 years since I was inspired by the Impact 100 model when meeting the leaders of Impact 100 Sonoma back in 2011. I remember thinking at the time, it was such a simple model, why wasn't everybody doing it? So I brought the model back to Australia with your kind permission, and within a year we had Impact 100 WA, Western Australia, up and running. And it's still going strong today, 15 years later. I think the greatest kick I get from the model is experiencing the value of participation by its members. The process opens eyes, it grows knowledge, it builds community connection, it builds stronger communities. The multiplier effect over and above the grants is incredibly powerful and has an enormous impact. So look, you're a champion. You've made a massive impact, not only in the US, but overseas as well, globally. So congratulations and thank you.
All right. Next up, we will take a look at 2013 to 2015. Between those years, Impact 100 was growing faster than anyone could have imagined. New chapters were launching, each one fueled by people eager to make a difference in their communities and support the nonprofits already doing the work. Growth in the US continued to increase steadily, and once the word was out in Australia, 4 new chapters awarded their first grants by the end of 2015. With that growth came new questions, new challenges, and a growing need for connection. At that time, Impact 100 Global had not yet officially formed, so Wendy continued fielding calls and emails offering guidance and encouragement while she was still working full-time. Those years were full of momentum and heart as the movement carried on, and in 2014, the movement passed $30 million in collective grants awarded. It was a moment that showed just how powerful the Impact 100 model is and that the need for support was stronger than ever.
Oh my gosh, it's hard to imagine. So as the movement continued to grow, something wonderful and maybe a touch challenging began to unfold. New chapters were forming everywhere, and women were stepping up to lead. The energy was incredible, but that growth became a growing need for guidance. At the time, I was offering my support however I could, answering calls and emails between work, raising kids, and just keeping life moving. So many amazing leaders were helping one another, sharing advice and encouragement, but everybody was busy managing their own chapters. As the movement expanded, some of the details about why the model works began to blur. Leaders were focused on how to make it happen, to do the thing, driven by their passion and their determination to create transformational change in their communities. Without a formal structure in place, I'd spent countless hours answering questions and sharing best practices with leaders. This was inefficient and inconsistent too, because each conversation was a one-off and they often resembled a rapid-fire Q&A. And so if a chapter leader asked a certain question, I'd give her the answers, but I didn't really have a way to keep track of what questions she hadn't asked yet that she should really learn in order to do the work she was doing. It became clear that the best way for chapters and leaders to find the support they needed was to establish Impact 100 Global as an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are dedicated to launching and lifting Impact 100 chapters. At Impact 100 Global, as you know, I hope, we provide chapters with the tools and resources they need to survive. Our website in those days had my cell phone number and my email address, which I actually think might still be on this website 25 years later. It also had a small but growing library of resources and best practices. We created a space where leaders could connect, learn, and grow together, making it a true home for the Impact 100 story. Now, all of the things that we offer our chapters are given free of charge. After all, we know how the model works. 100% of our members' $1,000 goes right back out in grants. So chapters don't have a lot of leftover cash. So how does Impact 100 Global, how do we support ourselves? We rely 100% on philanthropy to support our work. In fact, none of this would be possible without the generosity of our supporters. Our mission is to empower chapters with the tools and resources needed to grow, thrive, and make transformational change in their communities. The mission is what keeps moving us forward, connecting women, strengthening chapters, and ensuring that the Impact 100 movement continues to flourish for generations to come. Next, we're going to look back at 2016 and 2017, 2 years that marked another incredible leap forward. Looking at these slides, you'll see several new chapters awarding their first grants, and the momentum was really picking up. In 2016, we hosted our first truly global conference when we met in Delray Beach that year. Global because the leaders from Impact 100 Melbourne, Australia joined us for the event, which we all loved. This event connected women who had never met before but shared the same vision to transform their communities through generosity and collaboration. The energy in the room was unforgettable, full of laughter, learning, and inspiration. It was a celebration of what happens when women unite around purpose and possibility. And it set the tone for everything that came next. We launched Impact 100 Global in 2015, hosted a conference in 2016, and these events and more set up 2017 to be one for the record books. That year showed just how far the movement had come. Impact 100 chapters collectively surpassed 50 million in collective giving, an extraordinary milestone that reflected years of dedication, generosity, and belief in the power of women. But when we look at the fact that in that very same year, 10 chapters, 2017, 10 chapters awarded their very first grants, making new beginnings and expanding the reach even further. In 2017, we gave away a total that year of $10 million. Of that, these 10 new chapters that gave away their first grants, they were responsible for almost $1 million of that 10 million. It was technically 973,000 and change, but that's practically $1 million where I come from. So we really look at 2017 as a year we leapfrogged forward.
Now let's take a look at 2018 to 2020. New chapters continued to launch and award grants. In January of 2019, Wendy and members of the Mortgage Family Foundation, or MFF, traveled to Australia and New Zealand. This trip was made possible by the generous support of the Mortgage Family Foundation, one of Impact 100 Global's earliest supporters. Their belief in this movement helped make this journey and so much of what we do possible. During the trip, Wendy and the MFF team met with leaders and grantees from Impact 100 Melbourne, Impact 100 South Australia, and Impact 100 WA. They listened to inspiring stories of transformation, stories of people uniting to fund projects that change lives and strengthen communities. Then came a little bit of an unexpected twist. The team traveled on to New Zealand, expecting to simply just learn about the beautiful country. At the time, there weren't any Impact 100 chapters in New Zealand, but after meeting with local women and sharing the Impact 100 story, something remarkable happened. Those conversations sparked new excitement and possibility. Within months, women in New Zealand began organizing, and that spark led to the founding of Impact 100 Queensland, now known as Impact 100 Wakatipu. These years were a great reminder of the connection and shared purpose each member of our community shares and how it resonates with so many of us. No matter how we learn about Impact 100, there's a moment for each new leader where the idea sparks action and then the transformation begins.
Oh my goodness. As Haley mentioned, when we first visited New Zealand, there were no chapters there. And so I really thought that that was going to be the end of a really fabulous Impact 100 journey, thanks to the generosity of Carrie Mortgage and the team of Mortgage Family Foundation. So I went to New Zealand hoping to learn more about the philanthropy in the region, to see this most beautiful place. But what we discovered immediately was extraordinary. These women were so passionate, so visionary, and so ready to jump in with both feet. After the introductions were made, we were out speaking to groups of women they'd gathered together during the same few days in New Zealand to describe the impact model and cast a vision of what it would look like if it were brought to Wakatipu. They didn't wait. They moved forward and they launched their chapter in record time. They only learned about the model in early February in a, might I say, almost pandemic launch. And yet they were awarding their first grant before the end of that calendar year. It's amazing. I'm excited for you to meet now some inspiring leaders from this Impact 100 chapter and hear their story of what being a part of this global movement means to them.
I loved joining Impact 100 when I was new to this place, and it really helped me connect with other women in our community.
What I love about joining Impact 100 is getting to know the different charities in the community, making an impact and making a meaningful difference in the community.
And I've really enjoyed seeing the growth. We're a community of only 45,000 people, but by the end of this year, we'll have given away $1.3 million to charities who are serving the needs of our community.
All right, let's take a look at 2021 through 2023. You may recall there were some pretty big things happening in our world. In times of crisis or uncertainty, it's a natural instinct to lock down and to circle the wagons and kind of protect your own. But in 2021, in the wake of the COVID pandemic, the Impact 100 community didn't do that. It was a time where it would have been understandable to stay focused on your own, but people across the Impact 100 network didn't step back. They stepped up. More women joined, more communities launched, more people asked, how can I help and how can I make things better? The result was an extraordinary milestone. In 2021, Impact 100 surpassed $100 million in cumulative giving. And that same year, Impact 100 Global launched the first Global Day of Impact, creating an opportunity for chapters around the world to come together and celebrate what we have accomplished collectively. In 2022 in Atlanta, I was feeling that same pull. I was grateful to have made it through the pandemic, but my heart was also really with a lot of others that I knew were still struggling. I was tired of feeling powerless and I wanted to help. And fortunately, I was not the only one. Along with a group of incredible women, we launched Impact 100 Atlanta, joining this growing network of communities connected by the belief that collective giving really can transform lives. And we were just one of the many communities doing the same thing at the same time. Across the global footprint, people were coming out of the global pandemic. They were stepping forward in their communities and finding ways to give back through Impact 100.
Next up, we're going to hear from Kennedy Lang, the Next Gen lead from Impact 100 Greater Sacramento, who truly embodies what the next generation represents. As we look toward the future, Impact 100 offers something unique. It provides a way for philanthropy to become a part of everyday life early on. It's about belonging. It's about discovering the joy of connecting with others and connecting with your community, all while working toward a shared purpose. Across chapters, we see this come to life in many ways. It's shown through next-gen committees, volunteer opportunities, integrated learning in schools, and even groups of young women awarding their very own grants. The next generation reminds us that the future of Impact 100 is already here and shining bright. Please join me in hearing from Kennedy Lang.
What inspires me the most about Impact 100 is the community of women behind it. Being part of Next Gen has allowed me to witness how powerful it is when women come together with the shared mission to create change. I've been inspired not only by the generosity of this organization, but also the mentorship, leadership, and encouragement that so many members pour into others. Impact 100 has helped me see that philanthropy can happen at any age and that young women have a place in these spaces too. It's inspired me to become more confident as a leader, more connected to my community, and more passionate about giving back. I am so grateful to be a part of an organization that has spent 25 years making such a meaningful impact.
By 2024 and 2025, the momentum was unmistakable. More chapters were launching, more members were joining, and more communities were experiencing the power of collective giving. As I joined the global team and began working with chapters across the network, I started to realize just how much more was behind those numbers. Although each chapter followed the same model, each community truly had a unique story. Behind every milestone were individual dedicated leaders, passionate members, and nonprofit heroes. Some chapters were just beginning their journey, others had been transforming their communities for decades. But each had its own culture and traditions, and all were connected by a common purpose to make the world and their community just a little bit better. A highlight of the period for me was the 2025 Impact 100 Global Conference in the lovely Miramar Beach, Florida. The theme was Renew, Recharge, and Rise. And I think it really reflected the spirit of the event and how we all felt being together. One of the greatest gifts of the conference for me was the opportunity to work alongside really amazing women from our host chapters to plan and bring the event to life. Through months of Zoom calls and collaboration, we gained genuine friendships and a deep admiration for these remarkable leaders. The conference brought together people from across the movement to learn from one another, to celebrate our impact, and to strengthen the relationships that connect us across chapters, communities, and even countries. If there's one experience that captures what the Impact 100 global community is all about, I think it's the conference. Now let's take a look at what made it so special.
I love the members of Impact 100. I see them everywhere. They are the same people that are doing everything in our community.
I love the camaraderie of all the ladies together, collectively joining forces and then funding those nonprofit grants.
We get to see these amazing nonprofits, the passion and the work they're doing in our community.
It's such a rewarding experience that I know my $1,000 just got multiplied in a way that it never could before.
We think there's real power in all of us as women within our community coming together, and rather than doing lots of our own little things, actually having a really significant impact.
Easily the most valuable thing we've gotten from coming to the global conference is talking to all the spectacular women who are doing amazing work in their own chapter.
It's almost like a think tank, great minds and big hearts.
Fabulous. Meeting and connecting with other powerful women.
Meeting women from all over Nashville that I would not meet otherwise.
To see different organizations in different areas and even internationally, to learn from them.
The most valuable thing is the connections and the networking.
And the networking.
Networking. I can hear what other chapters are doing and get inspired with new ideas.
So eye-opening.
I learned so much that I can take back to Nashville, hopefully grow my own chapter.
There are so many good ideas here. We can't wait to take them home.
The conference has been amazing, more than I could have expected.
We've got very full notebooks, like lists and lists of things we're going to do.
It has just been a wonderful experience.
And I have a feeling that we're going to walk away with a lot of new friends.
Amazing. The energy, the ideas, the connections, that's what it's all about. And that's what makes every Impact 100 Global Conference unforgettable. And now I'm thrilled to share where we will get to gather next. The 2027 conference will be held in Sacramento, California. Our very first time on the West Coast. Chapters from across the region are already coming together to create something truly special for you all. Think sunny skies, vibrant conversations, and women leaders from around the world sharing their vision and connecting with one another. We'll have more details soon, but you can mark your calendars for October of 2027 in Sacramento. It's going to be inspiring, energizing, and full of that Impact 100 spirit that we all know and love.
But meanwhile, in 2026, our story continues. This year, several of our newest chapters have or will award their very first grants after months of building their chapter, their leadership teams, and their membership from the ground up. Through my role at Global, I've had the privilege of working with and getting to know so many amazing women who are bringing impact to their communities. And while every chapter is unique, they all began the same way, with just one woman hearing about Impact 100 and saying, I want that in my community. But it doesn't stop there. First, she has to be brave. She also has to be willing and capable of putting in the significant time, energy, and heart to launch and run a chapter. But what I know to be true is that for every single founding leader, building and leading an Impact 100 chapter is a labor of love and can be one of the most profoundly meaningful and fulfilling experiences of a lifetime. And today, I'm excited to tell you that there are even more chapters on the horizon for next year, 2027, with hopeful and dedicated founders laying the groundwork to prepare for their first members and their first community grants. Those communities include the Lead Belt region of Missouri, Sydney South in Australia, Naples, Florida, and North Texas, to name a few. Joining us today is one of those caring and courageous founding leaders, Ann Witherspoon, who is helping bring Impact 100 North Texas to the North Dallas area. Let's hear from Ann.
What excites me about being part of Impact 100 North Texas is the fact that we are part of one of the fastest growing areas in the United States. And with fast growth comes the need for more community support. And I know that the Impact 100 model will provide just that for our communities. I'm also very excited to work closely with amazing women who know how to get things done. It has been so rewarding to be part of the Impact 100 community, working closely with Wendy and the Impact 100 global team to provide structure and organization to a founding chapter and just continue with the momentum to build out this wonderful vision that Wendy had years ago. I know that the next 25 years will be just as successful as the first 25 years, and I'm so honored and grateful to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. So we started in 2001. We've gone all the way until this year, but not quite the end of the year. So this slide is aptly named Spectacular Growth. when I look at this slide, there's so many data points that pop out, but let me start with one that's rather technical before I get into some of the ones that I think are exciting. So you'll see at the very upper, which hand is this? Upper left hand, right hand side, the number 180 million and 80 circled in gold. The Global Day of Impact is always on the first Thursday of November. It is the day that we set aside to sort of tally what the entire community, new chapters, existing chapters, growing chapters, what you all have done. And on that day, we reveal all of these numbers that you see. So the number of chapters and the cumulative amount given away and the amount given away this year and so on. So what you're looking at is really up until November of 2025. So we've talked about growth. I am sure that we will grow this year because if you haven't been paying attention, it seems to be something we do every year, regardless of economic cycle. And I will be delighted to share that with you coming up in November. And we'll have more about that in a moment. But what I'd like you to do is take a look at what I call impact math. So impact math, in 2005, we had 4 years of accumulated grant awards, and we reached this fabulous $1 million milestone. But then in 2006, we gave away more than $1 million. How does that math doesn't math, right? Unless you're an Impact 100. Because that's when we talk about the impact of impact, the idea that spreads, and how when we can support our existing chapters to help them reach their highest potential, whatever their goal is in the community, everybody wins. You know, at Global, we often spend time talking about launching chapters, and I think that's vitally important. Of course, when I look at a map, I don't even want to tell you that I can't look at anything but the big empty states that don't have a chapter yet. And I'm sure you do the same. But what's really important is making sure that our existing chapters are fully supported. And when you imagine you have the mighty team of 3 answering the launch questions, certainly, and helping guide those leaders, but also making sure that every existing chapter knows that we are here to support you and that we will do everything we can to help make your chapter a success. And I want you to look at this with one other lens. When we talk about growth, we often talk about how many people, because that's what funds these grants. But there is not an Impact 100 chapter around that would exist if they didn't have remarkable nonprofits to fund. Now, when I look at this, I'm excited to see the transformation. I am excited to project where these numbers go. And I hope you see what I see, which is our pace is accelerating. Do you see how the angle of growth is going more and more straight up? And that leads me to talk a little bit about Global. We are a mighty team of 3. However, we do everything we can. We've taken our best knowledge and resources, and we've created, systems like the Academy and Global Connect and resources to make it easier. But the exponential growth of Impact 100 is moving faster. And we at Global, we have to grow to keep pace with the demands of this expanding community. Impact 100 Global relies solely on donations. And so we are revealing today in honor of our 25th anniversary, but it will remain in place forever after, what we are calling our Luminary Society. A luminary is a person who inspires or influences others, especially one prominent in a particular sphere. We see each of you as luminaries. And as we build this, the concept of the Luminary Society is to create a group of people who want to support the global movement moving forward. They want to be the ones to light the path. So when others follow, it's a little easier than it may have been when we walked the original path. These are leaders who understand that the demands are high and that global will, in fact, have to step up our game. The concept is very simple. You become a member of the Luminary Society when you choose to support our work. We ask a luminary gift is $1,000 a year. This $1,000 a year, hopefully multiplied by many, many people, will help to support the growth that we are experiencing and help prepare us for a future of even faster growth. We can't do this alone. We do all of it together. We learn from you. We appreciate you. We support you. And we invite you to become a part of the community that we consider our most ardent supporters. It would mean the world for us. And in fact, I am humbled to share that we already have some women and organizations who have stepped up to become a luminary. Lisa Somer, who came in first, I didn't even have to tell her. We didn't have a name for what the Luminary Society would be, and she was a part of it. And then gratefully, so many leaders have followed. So if you're looking at this list, first of all, I hope you're saying, I want my name on that, because guess what? We want your name on it too. But here's the reality. A luminary can be anything. A luminary can be a man who always says, can't I do something with Impact 100? Why, yes, you can. It can be a family. It can be an organization. You'll see the Hammett Health Foundation and the McGee Women's Research Institute. It can be a chapter. It can be a group of friends. You know, it could be your book club. But the idea is that success brings demand. The model is experiencing great demand, and we believe that luminaries will help us serve you better and manage our growth better. And so I thank you very much for your consideration. Oh my goodness. Now, Tracy, you all are in for a treat in a moment. But when we looked at the spectacular growth chart, and I said, you know, we don't grow for growth's sake. We aren't trying to reach a certain number for bragging rights or some kind of recognition. We understand very clearly that the more people we have to become members of a local chapter, the more money we have to give away. And the more communities where we have chapters where members give money, again, the better the community is. When we pause and look at the numbers, every single one of them is tied to a grantee. Every single dollar is connected to local change. You know this and you see this in your own communities. But as we grow, we increase our ability to serve and know our community and to offer grants to people like the Reach. Now, this is a Impact 100 Southern Indiana grantee, we actually met Tracy at last year's Global Day of Impact, and we heard her story and just wanted to hear more. She is a remarkable nonprofit leader, and she and her board, they thought outside the box when trying to solve food insecurity. And she thought, there has to be a better way. If all of us can pick up our phones and in a click get something delivered, that maybe the hungriest and the neediest in their community needed that too. And so that's more than enough setup for dear Tracy. And listen with me as she shares her Impact 100 stories.
Happy anniversary, Impact 100. I am so excited and so proud to be part of this amazing organization. I can't even imagine how many lives you have impacted over the past 25 years, because I know for myself, you have changed my life forever. And not only have you changed my life, but you have changed the lives of thousands of children that we feed each year. Because when we received a grant from Impact 100, it was something we could have never done without you. And so lives are going to be changed not only today, but forever and for generations to come. And it will be an impact that lasts longer than any of us, that's for sure. Because not only did Impact 100 allow us to reach more children in our own area, it's allowed us to reach children all over the country, because Impact 100 believed in a dream I had. I had a dream about a software program that could be developed for children and families who could get food to them as quickly as we can get food to us when we push a button on our cell phone. And so we could have never done it without Impact 100, and they believed in us. And so we created a software program that had never been done before. And there's no one else that we had ever found that would trust us and believe in us and have faith in us. So these amazing women got together, and they, out of their generosity, the kindness of their hearts, said, yes, we believe in this. And so that software was developed, and it was the first ever in our country to be developed for something like this. And now it is being used all over. And so we have impacted and reached more children than we could have ever dreamed possible. So we are just thrilled to be part of this organization. And a 25-year anniversary is a huge milestone, especially when it's all about giving back to our local communities. So Impact 100, thank you for all you do, not just for me and my organization and the hungry children we feed, but for all of the people you have impacted over 25 years. Now it's time to get busy. We've got another 25 years ahead of us. So join with me in saying happy anniversary, Impact 100, but let's get going and let's attack this next 25 years even bigger and better. Happy anniversary.
So incredible. One of the many things we love about Tracy is not only does she have such a passion for her work, she is also dedicated to spreading the word about Impact 100. She has gone clearly above and beyond to share her story about how Impact 100 has changed her life, and that truly makes all the difference. As I prepared for this celebration, I thought about what my wish would be for this movement. And my wish is pretty simple, that the world knows we're here. People often say Impact 100 is the best kept secret in philanthropy. I'd love for that to change. I want everyone to know that they are welcome here and that there's a place for them in this movement. Because when more people join, more communities are transformed. And when more women join together, the ripple grows even stronger. So my wish is that we just keep sharing loudly, proudly, and joyfully until Impact 100 is no longer the best kept secret, but the best known invitation to make a difference.
Love that. For me, Impact 100 has always been about connections. It makes me feel connected to and allows me to honor my mom and my grandmother, who are both Impact 100 members before me, and who showed me what it really means to love people and to love your community deeply. It also connects me with my daughter, who volunteered alongside me for years as we launched Impact 100 Atlanta, and has now joined as a very first year member. So our fourth generation member there. Impact 100 has also gifted me with wonderful friendships within my own chapter at Global, and has connected me with inspiring women across the movement whose paths I never would have crossed otherwise. And finally, it's connected me to my Atlanta community in ways that I never expected and I didn't know I needed. I lived in Atlanta for almost 30 years before Impact 100. I worked here, I lived here, I raised my kids here, but it wasn't until Impact 100 that I truly felt connected and a meaningful part of this community. So my wish is that everyone who joins this movement finds that same deep sense of connection to those who came before them, to those who walk beside them, and to the communities that they each call home.
I love that. So, this is an anniversary party, and which is kind of like a birthday party. And who has a birthday party without wishes before you blow out candles? So we've got a lot of candles. One of the most rewarding things that have happened in these past several months as we have been planning this is every single time one of you submits your wish for Impact 100, my email dings and I get to read it. I can't tell you what it has meant to me and what it will mean to me when I can really take the time to soak in these wishes. They're beautiful and they are as diverse as the people who wish them. Some are heartfelt and serious. Some are lighthearted and filled with joy. But all of them are sincere looks forward in that moment when your eyes are closed and your cheeks are puffed and you're getting ready to blow those candles out. So I have about 1 million wishes, especially after reading all of your wishes. But I would have to say, my wish is that every Impact 100 chapter and every leader feels fully supported, equipped, and inspired to reach their highest potential. That every community with a desire to build an Impact 100 chapter has the support to do it well. And that every chapter leader knows they never have to do this alone.
Incredible. I do have one more wish. Now, some of you might have been wishing for something special, a way to represent and celebrate this amazing anniversary event just after today. And let me tell you, you're in luck. We are so excited to share the brand new 25th anniversary swag that is all now available on the Impact 100 Global shop page. There's a whole collection of items for you to choose from, and that are all available now, so feel free to check them out.
I can say the global team has already checked them out. We have to do our due diligence, so we've had a little shopping fun. We just opted not to wear that swag today. We wanted to get a little dressed up for you. Please mark your calendars. The global team is thrilled to be joining Impact 100 Martin as they celebrate their milestone, and we celebrate 25 years of Impact 100. It is November 5th, 2026. Now, we will be live streaming. So you and your chapter, you can have a watch party and you can live stream and watch as we reveal the numbers and share in our celebration. Many chapters hold their own event, whether it's a watch party or their own sort of Global Day of Impact for their community. No matter which way you choose to join, we will always record this and it will be available in community forum afterwards. But this year it's going to be extra special. And so I would love to have you all be there when it really happens. So it's always the first Thursday in November. You can mark it perpetually on your calendar. And we're going to be starting at, I think, about 6 p.m. Eastern, but all those details will be confirmed shortly. And you will have the opportunity, of course, to register. We will have plenty to celebrate. Thanks to all of you. I can't believe that our time together has come to an end. It started a little with some tech challenges, but it has been a remarkable time with you all. Thank you for all you do for Impact 100. Thank you for what you do with your community and for your community. You know, 25 years ago, I was 38. My kids were toddlers. I was working full time in the bank. I never, and 25 years ago, if you would have told me we would be here celebrating this, I would have thought you were crazy. But with 25 years under our belt, think of how much we've learned. Think of how much we've grown. Think of all the people we've met and the lives that have been changed. Next 25 years is going to be epic. And I need you with us. So thank you. Happy 25th anniversary. And I hope to see you really soon. Take good care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.